I think the first thing we need to determine is whether we have a quorum.
We do.
I believe we do have a quorum.
There's
That's
5
good
of us connected. If we can get Kathleen to
She's
get her video and her audio in.
Kathleen did not connect.
We'll have to do.
And you have a couple, you said you have a Barbie. Is that one of the people who's on for audio only, or?
Yes,
Okay.
she's my technical support.
Okay. And Will is on as well?
Yeah.
That's correct. I haven't got my video on, but I am here.
Okay, great. And Joyce, we see you coming in, but you're not on audio, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Here we go.
There we go.
Should be able.
Have you got it?
Yeah, we got
Yep.
you now. You're on.
Okay, I'll put Huntley on. Huntley, do you want to join
Kathleen
us?
Doherty, can you see us or hear us?
Yes, I can.
Oh, you're on.
Cool.
Good.
Okay.
Hey.
Put you in.
All right. God has disappeared. Oh,
David, was Dick Bennett going to join tonight?
whoa. I didn't hear
He's
from
on
him.
he's on phone. I think
Okay.
he's on the phone.
All right, so we have a quorum. And if we can kind of follow the agenda, that would be really great. So let's get this meeting to order, call it to order. And I think we have a quorum. I think all 7 members are attending one way or the other. Dick, I think you're there, but you're on audio. Is that correct?
Is he muted?
Thought I heard him. I thought I heard his voice. I don't know who is, last 4 digits are 1104.
That's me. It's Hank Dinesh.
Okay.
The Dick
Yeah, I
is
don't-
2298.
2298.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2298.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
on
there he
mute.
is. Okay, I will
98.
mute him.
There you go.
There you go, Dick.
298 Bennett here.
Yep, gotcha. Okay.
All righty. So that means we have 7 regular members all voting, and that's a good thing. Okay. First order of business is that we need to look at the minutes from the prior meeting, which was in February. Do we have any changes to the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes from February.
Do I hear a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? All right, that's
Aye.
great.
Yes.
Okay, next piece of business is that somewhere between the last meeting and now, we were supposed to have a committee get together and discuss who ought to be our officers coming for this coming year. And I don't think we did a committee, but I've done polling, and no one has tried to tell me that they want to do something different than what they're doing right now. So I would like to ask somebody to make a nomination for officers, if we may.
I'll make the nomination that we can continue with the current board.
I second that.
All right, just to be clear for the folks who are
Right.
attending. That means that you guys want me to continue to be chair of the planning board, that Scott would continue to be the vice president, and that David would continue to be secretary. Is
Yes.
that what I understand?
Yes.
All right, so I heard a nomination and a second. Any discussion or change? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Huntley, sorry you don't get to vote.
That's all right.
We should have put a him in there.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Scott, and thank you, David, for your willingness to continue in your roles. I truly appreciate your help, and
Well, thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
you've both been wonderful. Thank you. All right, we've got two pieces of transactional business that we need to attend to. And I'd like to get those through. Andy Fisher is visiting with us from, hi, Andy.
Hello.
From your Amanuensis survey, right? Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and
Thank you.
your firm happens to represent both of the applicants.
Yes.
So
It's
you're,
convenient that way.
it is very convenient, and I'm glad you could participate this evening. Thank you.
Yeah, no, and thank you, folks. I know that it's not easy for towns to pull this all, kind of bring all this stuff together. It's a challenge. So thank you for making it happen.
Yeah, and really getting this together tonight was important to me because I believe one of your applicants has a transaction that's being delayed, awaiting for plat approval, and that's the primary reason I pushed for us to get this meeting done earlier. I didn't want to sit there and have a transaction waiting because of us dragging our heels and waiting actually another 2 weeks before our regularly scheduled meeting would have occurred.
Thank you. Yeah, I certainly our clients appreciate that and understand that this wasn't an easy thing to do. So everybody appreciates it. So thank you.
Well, I don't know. David says it's easy, so I don't know.
Well, Zoom makes things pretty easy, but there's still a lot of moving parts as far as making sure that town boards do what they're supposed to do, and this isn't all. Most of us. I'm on the Tamworth Planning Board, and we're in the same situation. And none of us are.
You had a meeting yesterday?
We had a meeting last night. Yep.
And how'd that go for you?
It went quite well. It was a bit of it was a stumbling start, but once everything got up and running and everybody came in, and it seemed to go fine. It seemed to go fine. We did one thing, and we did roll call votes. Someone pointed out, and I don't know if that's, I'm not sure if it matters, but someone did point out that roll call votes, given that it's a virtual meeting, is a convenient way to do it, and maybe that's just easier for the clerk to know who.
If it's other than a unanimous vote, I can see the roll call being applicable.
Yeah. So
Right.
that was the one thing that came up, and then otherwise, as long as everybody had at their disposal, the plan. We only had one public hearing, and everybody had a copy of, digital copy of the plans, and it was
Okay.
pretty fine. But it's all, it's a learning curve for all of us. So.
Yep. All right. So let's look at the Blaze application first. We had just one clarification. We originally set this up as a public hearing, and clarification from Peter Malia, it did not require a public hearing. it required notification to abutters. And we did that. And we heard back from Annie Cosgrove, and we sent her a copy of the plat for her review. And she did review it, and she came back, and I did not hear directly, but she told Julie Hoyt that she was fine with what she saw. And so, and I did send her the link for this evening in case to participate.
And I don't know if you can see, but I am tuned in. I just don't have video.
Okay, so I'm speaking properly about what you said, yes?
Yes, correct. So I do want to thank the board for being so proactive. It's hard. I live in upstate New York, 5 hours away, and getting to meetings and coming in is tricky. And then you put travel restrictions on top of it, and it's impossible. So all of your work is, we're very grateful for it, my family. And so I'm just here representing our family, but we don't see any issues with what we saw.
Well, that's great, and I'm glad you're able to participate. And you know, going forward, my perception is that we'll do this on a regular basis, largely because we do have people
why you're not seeing everything.
who have. Okay, I'm sorry. Am I having issues with somebody?
I was seeing people as they talk.
Somebody, I don't know. Anyway, I'd like to get these up on the town website going forward all the time.
Yeah, I think it would be very helpful for second homeowners and vacation homeowners. So I definitely appreciate that.
I think it's great, and so we're learning stuff. It's neat to kind of rethink how you work and maybe come up with something that's a little bit more 21st century.
First I didn't see was that one because they're not on the screen. They're only on.
Ah, there we go. It's that Huntley fellow who's talking over me. Okay, now I've got you. I can see you, but I'm hearing. Gotcha. Okay. All right, Blaze application. Andy, you want to go through that with us, please?
Yep, and so pardon me, if it looks like I'm looking and talking to my large freezer over here, I'm not. I'm actually looking at I'm in my little office here now at home, so I've got my computer set up. So essentially, it's a simple, it's a boundary line adjustment. So if I assume that everyone on the board is relatively familiar with the property. So there are multiple. It's two lots as of now. At one iteration, there were more than that. But there's the house that the Blazes live in, and then there's a garage. And then two cabins. Two cabins are on parcel number 20, lot number 20. The Blazes house is lot number 19. And so there are two things happening. One is adding land to what I would consider the cabin lot. Lot number 20 is gaining land just to basically, I mean, just to give those that lot more land for whatever, just for their convenience. Whoever moves in there, the people are in, and we all know that there's a conveyance sort of that's in the process. So it's giving the cabins a little bit more land. I think the Blazes initially would have loved to just give the cabin lot everything right up to the Skinner parcel, but the frontage requirements came into play there, so we wanted to make sure that the Blaze house lot didn't become non-conforming. So that's why, if you look at it, it might look a little weird that it didn't go all the way to the Skinner lot. So they were gaining land there, and then there's a garage that is associated with the cabins, and as as a result of sort of the process here, it became clear that the garage was essentially on the house lot. And so the little jig jog around the garage is intended to put the garage on the cabin lot and also allow for the garage to be adhering to all the setbacks. So that's why there's, we would have liked cleaner lines on that area, on that section, but it was basically just to make sure that the garage and that the garage goes with the cabins and the garage is not in any zoning violation. That's what we're looking at there. And the house lot, lot number 19, still retains plenty of land. It still ends up with 18.5 acres. So it didn't, it doesn't really essentially affect the density of the house lot.
Okay, Andy, one question did come up when we were, from people taking a look at the plat, and I knew it would come up. And I think I mentioned it in the note I sent, that question around whether or not the 200-foot requirement on the rear side lot, whether it was contiguous or not, which it is not. However, there's more than 200 feet of road frontage on Thornhill for that lot.
Correct. And I think I think the natural thought is that it should be contiguous, or that's what we expect, but it was not. The frontage was not contiguous already. So my answer to that is that the house lot loses frontage, but it doesn't lose any of the frontage essentially where the house is. So the total qualifying frontage was non-contiguous already. So it's not becoming non-contiguous as a result of this boundary line adjustment.
Yeah, I didn't see a problem with that, but it did come up as a question, and I wanted to make sure the other board members are aware of it if they hadn't noticed it, and also if anybody has any issues with that.
Oh,
If I may just add to that, I think that's an interesting question that I think a lot of towns regulations don't specify that, and I think that's something that we should all maybe look at as to whether or not I don't want to, not for this project obviously, but in the future clarifying. I'm not just saying Jackson, but most towns I've found don't specify that frontage needs to be contiguous. And if that is an issue, then I think that's something that towns need to look at. And if it's not an issue, then maybe towns need to specify that it doesn't have to be contiguous for situations like this.
Andy,
it's interesting.
My sense of that is that unless it's specified, it would be very difficult for any planning board to say in a zoning ordinance that was mandated. I wouldn't want to have to go to court for that one.
No.
No. The flip side of that is that the frontage, from my understanding, was put in simply to ensure that we didn't have a rear lot or a density that was going to be greater than the expectation. Somehow, in order to get 200 feet non-contiguous on the same road, you have to have a pretty good sized lot to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's you're not gonna find that situation in most cases in any of the towns around here, but certainly not Jackson. That's it would be rare that would come up as an issue.
For what it's worth, Bill.
What? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would advocate. I would agree with Andy that making our zoning clearer by specifying that it is unnecessary to be contiguous. You know, because where we might understand it, someone else reading our zoning would probably assume that it needs to be contiguous, even though it doesn't mandate that.
All right.
So I think our zoning probably isn't clear on that point to most people reading it.
So for my parliamentarians, is that a cleanup, or is that something we'd actually have to do a warrant article, or what?
You would be safest just having it as a warrant article.
Okay. All right. Well, that's something else for March.
That's, yeah. For when you have nothing else to talk about at a meeting.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's an interesting thing, and I think if we looked into most towns' regulations, I think that they don't specify. That's my experience, is that I don't find them specifying contiguous or non-contiguous. So that's just an interesting thing that probably down the line will be clarified. And
okay, next item that we would be looking at would be to look at the application list. Now, I'm not sure if we can do that on this process, or whether or not we need to do that. I've looked at the plat and determined that most of the checklist items have been made, but what's your feeling about that, guys?
My question on the checklist was who put checks in? Was that planning board people or town people, or was it the applicant?
I believe that there's check marks on the application. Normally, we would be doing that.
The checklist that's posted up on the website.
I did not do that. So it came to the website done. I believe that might have been done by Julie. Or is that you guys checked?
My recollection and my intention was to, I like to go through the checklist myself and check it accordingly, provide that to you folks. And I believe that I provided 2 copies, one checked by me and one blank, because I know the board likes to go through at the meeting. But I find, being on the other side of the board, that when an applicant checks the checklist, then at least you know their perspective and what they, if they feel something is applicable or not applicable, they've checked it thus, and you can look at it that way. So I think that I submitted two checklists, one checked off by me and one blank for you folks to check off.
On the checklist that we have for the subdivision application, that has 2 columns, one to be checked off by the applicant and then the other for the planning board. And the one for this boundary line adjustment just has one list going down, which is title is being checked by the planning board. I actually, right after I had studied the plat, I looked at the checklist, and though I didn't go one by one, it seemed that everything that was on the checklist had been addressed on the plat. But caveat, I did not do it the way we would do it at a planning board meeting, which is to read the checklist off and people will be checking it off the plat.
Okay, I did do that. I made the physical effort to do that prior to the meeting, but I wasn't sure exactly whether or not we needed to do that during the meeting or how, and I was a little bit thrown off by the fact that there were check marks already in the thing. And now I understand why, because I hadn't had an opportunity to look at the physical file.
For my part, Bill, if by RSA we don't have to go through it, during the meeting,
we do not.
I'm very comfortable with either you or Julie or someone designated going through it, prior to a meeting.
I think the checklist is there just for us to be sure that everything is in the application that our regulations say should be there. And if it's checked off beforehand, then that's just one less thing to do at the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions or concerns about that?
Does anybody even challenge it, Bill? I mean, why
I'm
don't we
sorry?
just get on with the meeting? Does anybody even challenge it? I
The
mean,
check-
the checklist?
No, I'm just asking because I don't want anybody to come back after the fact and say, we didn't follow our normal protocol. And
Bill, a question, in a future meeting, couldn't we have that plat and that checklist available that we could see it? There must be a way with this Zoom system to provide that. I don't know how to do it, but I'm just suggesting that we do that.
Well, they were available on the town
Yeah.
website already.
Yeah.
Okay, well, again, if they were available there, I'm just thinking that we could bring it up to review it. I, in
Yeah.
fact, hadn't seen that. I was not, I was aware of this situation, but I've not seen the plat, any maps on this at all. Maybe I'm remiss, but I got no notice about that I know of.
you have 3 notices that I sent on that.
No, I'll have to go back and check, Bill. I get
I
too many
informed
notices.
each of the members, and you were listed among the members. And I
Okay.
sent out several notices indicating that it was up on the website, including the one that notified you of this meeting, which is how you got in here today. It says that that's on the town website. Because make sure everybody knew.
I know from some of the work that Ken has done, and yet they were doing it not on Zoom, but on GoToMeeting, is that there is the possibility of being able to put up on the screen for everybody a document and then to switch back and forth.
Yeah, I asked David if he might be able to look at that, because I know folks are doing these things and they do, PowerPoint presentations and the like on the thing, so it's possible to do it. But
You can do that. I didn't know if you guys all wanted to do that. There is a way I could have pulled up the document on my side and then shared my screen with everybody. So if we need to do that for the next meeting, we can do that.
I would
Probably
suggest
would
that.
be helpful in going through plats. I mean,
Sure.
I went through this afternoon, so I still have, memory of it. But if I'd gone through, when I first looked at it, that was a week or 2 back. So it would be good to have it in case we had particular questions.
If I just looked at it by myself and I had questions on it, who would I go to? I think it would be much better to have something like that, available at a video meeting.
Chris, I agree with.
And also, during the meeting, if you have, you can go to the website and take a look at it right now, and that's not going to interrupt the Zoom meeting or our ability to see you. I've been going back and forth for the past 10 minutes and looking at the plat, as we've been talking about it. So you can do it as we're discussing it on the website.
Okay. Chris, if you feel uncomfortable because you haven't taken a look at it.
No, I don't feel uncomfortable. I think, from what I have understood about this, because I've talked to people about it, everything seems to be copacetic. So.
Okay. Because if not, you're.
It was just a suggestion going forward.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. Any other comments or questions around this application? Annie, do you have anything that you have that you wanted to mention around this?
No, my questions I would need to discuss with the Blazes, because now that there's another property that's using, that needs an easement for a right of way, we would need to work out the maintenance for the road, but that's between all of us and not for the meeting. I just wanted to be a part of it and see, how everything worked. But I have no questions.
Andy?
Just a point of clarification. There are no new lots being created. So that the cabin lot already existed in and of itself already.
Right. Actually, I lived in that cabin in college for a few summers. I know it very well. Yeah.
Okay. No, it's great. It's a neat spot. But just as a point of clarification for anyone who might be listening in or watching later, it's not a subdivision which is creating a new lot.
Right.
So, but as far as easements and things like that, that's certainly worthy discussions with the Blazes and whomever might end up with the cabins.
Okay. Any other further discussion? Anybody else have anything else they want to?
I move that we accept the application.
I second
I
that.
second.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And aye.
Any nays? Okay, unanimous. All right, we have a second application.
Thank you.
Andy, we're good on one. We've got
That's
one
great.
more. Second one's a little bit
Thank you.
quicker and easier. Andy, you're welcome to stay with us if you like.
Yeah, I'm curious, so I'll stay. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. It's a public meeting, so you're more than welcome.
Thank you.
It's a long drive back to, it's a long drive back to New York.
Yeah.
I wish I was up there, but I'm being a good girl and staying away.
Thank you. I think it's hard for everybody.
Yeah.
Andy, you're the second application. Could you please run through that?
Sure. This is it's a lot merger. So there's I'm happy to go through it. If anybody doesn't know where, so Mountain View Road, it's on the Jackson end of Dundee Road is where this parcel is. There's a development that's up there. What we're proposing, what the owners are looking to do is essentially just merge. They've got 3 lots. They're small lots. They certainly are not. I mean, they're existing lots of record on a subdivision that was approved. So they are lots of record and they're viable, but they're just not. They're not very. They're legally viable, but functionally they are not very viable. There's essentially half of the total area is wetlands. So rather than having 3 marginal lots, which technically, if septics could be kind of wedged in there, someone could build on all 3 of these lots. That's not what the owners want to do, and so they want to just combine 3 lots into one, so that there's essentially one pretty nice lot out of 3 marginal lots.
What's the total size of the 3 lots together?
That's a good question.
I think about 1.5 acres.
It's about that. Yeah, they were all they're all essentially less than half an acre. Maybe half an acre lots.
Andy, question. When I looked at the plat, this doesn't seem to have road frontage or anything that looked like semi-normal.
Yeah, it's an interesting. So I would just step back to say that they all have road frontage in the sense that they have frontage on roads or roadways that were approved by the Jackson Planning Board in the past. They wouldn't, not necessarily to today's standards by any means, but they're legitimate. They have road frontage. Most of the frontage on 2 of the lots is essentially on an internal roadway, but it's a roadway that was approved. It was approved by the planning board, and it was also this corner of the development was reworked from the original subdivision. So the roadway, the right of way that two of the three lots front on changed. It's small, it's tight, it's not to today's zoning standards, but it was approved by the planning board, so they're legitimate lots. They're just not very good. But you put the three together and you have a nice lot. The views are wonderful, potentially, and so it's just you have three substandard lots and you put them together and you have one nice lot.
You have one substandard lot.
It's all well, it's all again, they're pre-existing non-conforming lots.
No, I take that. We end up with
The new lot will be non-conforming to our present standards, but it is less non-conforming than the situation we have. Is that
Absolutely.
correct?
Well,
Okay.
yeah, well, I would say, is it non-conforming? I don't know that it's non-conforming if you put them all together, but.
Well, they don't have the frontage.
They don't have frontage, but.
But they do. They all have frontage. They're all legitimate. They're legitimate non-conforming lots.
But
Right, I understand that. But today's standards, they would be non-conforming. The new lot in today's standards would still be non-conforming, but it is a less non-conforming situation than what's there right now.
It's certainly a less non-conforming to the point that I think it's probably conforming. Not as far as density, but if we're talking road frontage, it certainly would be conforming to today's road frontage. But yeah, the long and the short of it is, it's taking three lots that someone could shoehorn houses on, and in putting it into one lot, and someone's going to get a nice.
But doesn't that mean you can't undo it in the future?
No, you can't undo it.
No,
Would you say?
You'd have to go through. So the shortest answer is it's a lot merger. So there's actually it's it's you're taking three lots and you're making one lot. So there's no good argument against it. But the flip side of that certainly is you absolutely could not make three lots out of this one lot again.
Okay.
Absolutely not. And if someone tried to do it, they would have to go through the subdivision process through the planner.
Yeah, Andy,
I don't see where you're seeing the frontage, Andy, because it's just that corner, and it's only 179 feet on that corner. I don't see any. I'm looking at Google Maps. I don't see any other road beyond that Mountain View Road corner that it sits on.
So there's Mountain View Road, and then there's this roadway that goes in. So it's all. I mean, again, these are all we're sort of.
Yeah, I'm looking at satellite.
Don't matter.
I don't see any roadway going in on satellite view. I mean, it doesn't really.
It's not built.
It's a roadway.
It's a roadway that was approved by the planning board, so it is qualifying frontage. There's no road there. There's no driveway. There's nothing there. It's just
Well, by
woods.
today's standards, there would have to be a road. We don't accept paper roads. So again, it wouldn't qualify by today's standards.
But if we were trying to make these lots now, there's no. I wouldn't. There's no way I would come before the board and try to say, hey, let's make three lots now. These three lots.
No, I'm
exist.
saying even the three lots together would not qualify by today's standards, because we don't accept paper roads, and the only road I see is Mountain View, and there's 179 feet on that. And I don't see any other frontage on Mountain View.
Well, I can accept 150 feet of road frontage, I think. Isn't that in our regulations now?
200 is our, but in any case, we're making it less non-conforming, so I don't have a problem with the merger. I'm just saying that, academically, I don't think that this could be done. I don't think the three lots would be a conforming lot by today's standards without it.
Ever.
So, for what it's worth.
I guess
Well,
that do we have an issue with approving it on the basis of it being a lesser evil than they currently is? I guess that's the question.
I don't have an issue with that.
No, I think it should go ahead. I think it's better for the town to have a less non-conforming situation.
I agree, and I would just not to belabor the point, but there's no. I don't think that there's. I don't think that the board can deny this lot merger. Anyway, I don't think there's no. It's three lots owned by the same entity, and they want to merge them into one, and it's a good discussion as to what could be here or what is there, but it's at the end of the day, it's a voluntary lot merger of 3 lots owned by the same entity.
What we're trying to avoid, Andy, I think, is creating an issue for you going forward. And that is because you are merging lots, then they need to be acceptable under the current. You can merge the lot, then the question is whether you could build on it. And then you want a lot that's buildable, and if it doesn't conform, and because you're being required to conform it under the ordinance that's in place today, the question is whether or not that's okay or not. And I think that's what we're trying to talk about. I think to Dick's point, that we have a less non-conforming lot than what we had, that this should be an acceptable agreement by the planning board to say, yeah, this is not a problem, regardless of whether or not you're putting the 3 lots together as a lot merger.
And Bill, I think building on the lot, the merged lot wouldn't be a problem, but building on 14 or 16, even though there are lots of records, might be a problem because I think there's a state RSA that requires some amount of frontage for a building permit to be issued.
Right, if they were trying to do that now as separate lots, yes, I agree. So I think we're putting it in a better position for the landowner going forward. So I think this is all good. I think it's the point. So I guess the question I have is there any further discussion about accepting this or not? Any further conversation from anybody?
Just a quick question. Is there anything built on it now?
There's nothing built on it now.
Okay, yeah.
No, not even that the paper, it is a paper road, but there's nothing.
Okay. Any other questions?
Do we accept them and then approve both of these situations? Do we accept it and then approve it, or do we just accept it?
I think
So accept it, and then it has to be to approve, and then it has to be accepted. We didn't do that with the last issue either.
what we have to do is to first accept the application as complete and then give our approval for it to go forward.
All right, so we screwed up on the first one. Do you want to go back to that one and do that and then do this
Well,
one?
we've accepted the application, but we haven't voted to approve it yet.
Okay. Or we did to approve it, not to accept it.
Right.
Do we need to register a couple of votes here? On the Blaze application, we did a motion to accept the application.
Right, that's what we did.
But we did not do a vote to approve it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so
That's
let's
correct.
finish the Blaze application. Do I have a motion to?
I move that we approve the Blaze application.
I'll second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Now we have the second application for a
I
lot
move
merger.
that we accept the Woodman application.
I'll second.
second it.
Okay, we have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, and then we have to approve this, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion to approve, please?
A motion to approve?
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. All right, I think, Andy, you got both of your deals set. Now, I'm not sure
Thank
about
you.
what we do for getting the plat signed. Third, I'll have to talk with Julie about that to make sure we can do that. I'm not exactly sure. David, you normally have to sign that and I have to sign it.
Okay, no problem.
So I don't know if we have to go do that. Town hall is not open right now, whether or not we can do that by phone or what. We'll have to figure.
Julie Hoyt and Julie Atwell both work floating hours in the office, so they can make it available. And if you call them and set up a time to sign, they can make it available to you. So that should work out fine as you coordinate it through Julie Atwell or Julie Hoyt.
The Mylars, I think there's a Mylar in the meeting room already from a previous application, but yes, they'll accommodate whatever for signing in the meeting room. They'll lay them out. You don't have to have other contact, and then they will mail them out to county.
Okay, Andy, you were able to get the updated plat in?
Yeah, it's in. I handed it off to Julie Hoyt, and the Blazers came in and signed it. So it's sitting there somewhere. So I think like everybody, like Dick said.
Okay, great.
Just or orchestrate with one of the Julies and even if it's signing it out on the front stoop or something.
All right, maybe we can get that done, David, in a couple of days.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
All right, excellent.
Great.
Thank you. Andy.
Thank you all very much. I really appreciate your time and your effort to bring this together.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay. Okay, other business. Dick, and Kathleen, the capital improvements plan, I don't know if you guys have been able to do anything with that at all, or that, if you kind of just want to tell us where the heck you are with that, or whether or not we should be waiting, for another 3 months to talk about that again, or tell me what you think we ought to be doing there.
Well, we have a good format on the back of the, or in the back of the warrant from this last town meeting that deals with the capital improvement plan. I have talked to a number of the departments. I don't think anybody had anything particularly spectacular they were asking for. I haven't asked the office to do put it into format, but I do have some figures that I can probably get them to, in their own time, put down on paper and get out to everybody. So, I think the information is basically available and there. What isn't in the town warrant from the last town meeting, I can supplement with from my conversations with various groups. And I think Kathleen and I talked and, tried to think of any areas that weren't covered, but I think the information is available. Anyway, I'll work at getting it into a format that makes it a little more concise. How's that sound?
Do you have a document that we can look at as to when you pull all this information together? Do you have it in a single document?
Yeah, that's what I would do. I mean, I'd take the format from the back of the town warrant and just supplement any information that isn't there and get it in there, and then have that available for everyone.
That'd be good.
So the question is around scheduling, and that's the key part of what I wanted to talk about next. Our next scheduled meeting would be on the 14th of May. And the question is, do you want to do this on the 14th of May? Do you want us to, and we can, right now, I don't have anything on the agenda on a transactional basis. No one's come forward on anything. I do expect we are going to have a transactional subdivision request for the June meeting. I've been contacted on something for that by HEB. So the other thing that we have that's outstanding is we have Danica Malone from NCC, who's supposed to be also scheduled with us to review some material. So we have some work that needs to get done. The question is whether or not we can function this way sufficiently and proceed, or should we hold off? What's your thoughts?
I think if we have documents to review beforehand and even they're emailed, and if we want to print them out ourselves, to have them in front of us while we talk about it, I think we could easily do it in this Zoom format.
The other thing about the Zoom format is you don't actually have to download Zoom to get on it, and you don't have to go to the website. What would be very nice is if David would, before the meeting, if he sends an email out, all you got to do is hit on the email, and with that, he could put on any documents that we're going to be discussing. So it would be much easier, I think, and more efficient.
We can do that.
Yeah, and it would be
I can do that.
Agenda out a little bit earlier than we do. And that would also help with the document review. So maybe we could, David, you and I can work on making our schedule squared away.
I will schedule another Zoom, and we can do I can do the email directly to each one of you. So all you do is click on the link and you go right to the Zoom meeting.
That's good.
All right. So for May 14, with this, which is our next regularly scheduled meeting, do you want to hold that meeting?
I mean, do we need another meeting in just 2 weeks, or do we want to start up scheduled meetings in June?
That's the question. Thank you.
I would go to June. But that was Bennett.
Do you think?
I like the idea of.
Could you do the other person? Okay.
Well, I think only we could go to June unless we have something come up.
I agree with going to June. Too soon for.
Okay, I'd have one thing. I like the idea of us getting documents. I don't know if everybody's seen the landowner goal assessment form that came from Forest Land Improvement, but if everybody could get a hold of that, and I think each of us make our own assessment, or they have quite a few questions about the purpose and the future and the ongoing of the property. And I think that would be a good discussion for whatever our next meeting is. And it'd give us, time in between for everybody to kind of review that document. Thank you.
In which property is that, Dick?
Well, it was for Prospect Farm, and it's what Forest Land Improvement would like for input from us, and it's called the Landowner Goal Assessment Form.
Okay.
Can you email that to all of us as an attachment?
I believe that Julie Atwell has that and can get it either onto, I don't know, e-news, or I think she could send it to all of us as members. She doesn't have to put it on e-news. I will talk to her tomorrow about doing that.
Yeah, she sent it out to the Conservation Commission. So yeah, I'm sure she can do it for the Planning Board. Dick, one other item, and that is that we had an election, and I'm pleased to understand that you are continue to be a member of the Board of Selectmen. And congratulations on becoming our head selectman. The item
Well,
that
it was a tough campaign. I mean,
you had to twist everybody's arm to not vote for you, and they did anyway.
running against myself like that. No, I'm happy to do it. I'm glad I got the mandate to put another year in, and I hope to be productive.
I have a piece of business for the selectmen, and that is because you were the representative, and your time as the select person was up. You need to be reappointed to the planning board.
All right. We'll go in and swear.
And so, not swear, the select board has to, you have an RSA requirement to be assigned to the planning board. That doesn't happen automatically because you have had a break in service, if you will. You had to be reelected.
All righty.
Dick,
So
I'll make sure to get that on the next agenda for you.
Yeah, that's a formality. I know it's a formality, but it's just formality.
Follow the rules.
Oh, no. Let's keep it on the up and up. We're doing really well. We'll continue that.
And Bill, this is Barb Campbell. I do appreciate Dick's service too, and it's been very enlightening for me to be on there. So thanks to you, Dick, as well.
Oh, Barb, I didn't know you were on.
Oh, yeah, she's my technical support.
I'm the Barbie on there. Yeah.
Okay, because David showed up and Barb disappeared on my board. So.
Yeah. I just have one question.
Barbara's the master zoomer.
Who had a question?
Are we going to put
I'm the what?
Master zoomer.
That's true.
Okay. That's great.
Are we going to put that? Are we going to put that woman off again for another month? So that'll be June for her to present her recommendations. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, it looks like our next meeting will be the second Thursday in June. And we'll have to, David, we will have to say that we are going to not be meeting in May. We'll have to get a note for that to say
okay.
that meeting is being, I don't know, canceled, not held, whatever the proper word is.
Okay, I'll find out what the proper word is. Can that go out like now, or do we have to wait?
Yes, no, that can go up. It's
We
part
should put it out.
of our minutes.
Okay, great. Okay.
But we need to know if we have any applications that we have to look at. What is the timeline as far as how soon before the meeting that an applicant has to let us know that they want to be on the meeting?
21 days.
21?
So we're really well covered for
Okay. All
for
right.
this. And the HEB folks, I mentioned that was for 21 days and said, there's no way you're going to make a May date. And he said, but they'll push for June.
Putting a fair amount, that's putting a fair amount on the agenda for June. Are there any items that we could do in May? Just, pull one of them off?
That's why I was thinking about looking at our draft, because we would get some documentation from her. We could get that out of the way in May, and then.
Well, what do you think, guys? It's up to you.
I would go for that. Because she's been waiting quite a while, hasn't she?
Yeah, since November.
All righty. 2 weeks from tonight?
That's fine.
And if we can get the whatever her documents are that she wants us to review beforehand, if we can get those fairly soon.
Yeah, I will contact her tomorrow and see if we can get that to us as soon as possible.
All right, so I guess we're on for May the 14th.
Yeah.
And we'll have that as
No
early,
cancellation.
unless something transactionally comes up, but it's not. Well, a lot merger could happen. It doesn't require any notice. So there's a possibility of other transactions.
If it comes up, we'll deal with it.
All right, sounds great. All right, any other business before the board? Everybody good?
No.
Everybody happy?
I
Looks great.
I can't see, Dick, do you have your hat on?
Yeah.
I just took my hat off. Let's all go home.
Very good. We're here.
Do I hear a motion?
I hear a motion to adjourn.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Drive safe.
Thank you.
Aye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Drive safe.
You don't have an opinion, don't speak.